Hi everybody, welcome back to another very exciting Adobe Live. I am your host, Jesus Ramirez. How's it going? I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat already. Thank you so much. Marsha's writing, I need a new hairdo. Oh boy, yeah, that's exactly what this challenge is about, getting a new hairdo in Photoshop. But thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure to see everybody here as usual. We have Sam in the chat. By the way, let me know if you can hear me. Everybody okay? I'll give you guys a few seconds to respond. In the meantime, I'm gonna switch over into actually before I switch over, do you guys feel that there's some sort of presence here? I don't know if you guys feel that presence, but I'm definitely feeling something. I don't know what it is, but let
Hi
me know.
everyone! As promised, I face bombed. This is Ramirez DCC, but I'm gonna let you have fun. Bye!
So yeah, somebody yesterday was saying if Claudia was gonna photobomb me or video bomb me, so that was her photobombing me. I'm in her studio right now in Manchester, UK. Let me know where you're watching from. Let us know if you're having a good morning or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. Awesome. And people are saying, Claudia, yeah. Is it legal to get a new hairdo? I don't know, Sean. Depends on where you're watching from. You know what? It would have been funny if Claudia would have just stood behind me the whole time and I could have just had her hair coming out of my head. We should have just done that. I didn't even think about that. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, before we get started, let me take care of some housekeeping items. Let me just switch over into my screen here and let everybody know about the Daily Creative Challenge page. From this page, you can see this big blue button. Make sure that you click on that so that you can follow the Creative Challenges and you can get notified via the Creative Cloud app. Also, make sure that you click on the community chat link to get you into the Discord page. Right up above my head here, you'll see the current challenge tab. And this is the place where you can submit your work. And look at all this amazing work. Really, it's fantastic work. Thank you so much for submitting. Sam, thank you for all your help in answering questions and giving your advice. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. And yeah, make sure that you come in here, submit your work, get inspired by other people's work, and ask questions if you have them. I'm here. The Adobe team is here. The other Adobe mentors are here. Voodoo Val, Valdier, Sam, of course, and Claudia. So make sure that you come into the Discord page. If you're watching a recording and you can't click on the link that I'm sure was posted in the chat, you can go into the link right up above my head to join the Photoshop Discord. So make sure that you do that. Also, when you submit your work, make sure that you also submit it onto behance.net. If you don't know how to do that, go back into the welcome stream. I showed how to submit work onto Behance, but most importantly, how to use the hashtag so that you can get an opportunity to be featured in the Creative Challenges curated community gallery. So this is work that some of you have created. It's awesome work. And if you want to have an opportunity to be featured in here, then make sure you use the hashtag PS Daily Challenge for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges. There's also hashtags for the XD Daily Creative Challenges and the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenges. Now, let me take, one last thing. Make sure that you come into my Behance page, JR from PTC. You're already on Behance watching this. So make sure that you click on the link that's somewhere around the chat and you can follow me on Behance. Also, if you're watching from YouTube, make sure that you head over into behance.net/live, behance.net/live, because I can't see the comments on YouTube. I can only see the comments on Behance. And also, we have Sam posting all the resources on the chat so that you can just click on them. So make sure you head over into behance.net for so you can interact with us. And one of the reasons that Claudia was here, not besides the photobombing, is that pretty soon Claudia and I are going to be doing a show here on Adobe Live. It starts next month, and the show has a working title. The working title is called Rework It, where Claudia and I are going to work with your files, your PSDs, your AI files, your InDesign files, whatever files that you want us to rework for you live on the stream. So if you want to have an opportunity to be featured on the very first episode, make sure that you head over into Claudia's website, iamclaudie.com, click on resources, and then scroll down to where it says Rework It so that you can submit your work. You can click on submit your design and just fill out the form and hopefully your design could be featured in our first stream. That's a new show that Claudia and I are going to be doing together here on Adobe Live. So we're going to take your files and then rework them using our expertise. All right, cool. So by the way, let me know if you think that will be a good stream, if you're excited about it. I would love to get your thoughts on this new Rework It idea that Claudia and I will be doing pretty soon, starting next month. I believe the first show is on the 7th of October, if I'm not mistaken. But awesome. So let's go into the behance.net/challenge/Photoshop page. And just one more thing. Here at the bottom, we have the new Hairdo box. A new box unlocks every day. Make sure that you click on the Get Started button to download the file that we're going to work with today. Also, if I go too fast or you miss something, there's a watch video button so you can go back and rewatch each specific daily creative challenge. So let's jump right into Photoshop. And this is, of course, the file that we're going to work with today. We've been working with the same image the entire daily creative challenges, this entire set of daily creative challenges. You don't have to use the same photo for each challenge. I'm using the same photo, but you're free to use any photo that you want for any of the challenges. Let me just see what the chat is saying. A lot of people are saying really good things about the idea for our new show. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing the iamclaudia.com/resources page where you can submit your work so that Claudia and I can work on it together here on Adobe Live starting next month. Thank you so much. Hey, Murray, good to see you. Michelle, good to see you as always. Christy, Mia, Alok, Marsha, Andreas, Ferry, thank you so much for joining us. Super, super cool to see you. Awesome. Oh, we got Sean in the chat. Hey, Sean. Sean's going to be on live. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to jump right in and host Sean for a Photoshop compositing stream. So it's going to be a fun-filled day. So I'm going to be on now doing the Daily Creative Challenge, and then I'm going to jump in with Sean, and he's going to show you some cool compositing stuff. But let's get into the project. So we have this layer, and then we have this other guy. And what I want to do is just swap hairstyles. And you don't have to use this guy. You can just use whatever other person you want. You can go into stock.adobe.com, and like we discussed yesterday, one of my favorite words is isolated when I'm searching for something on Adobe Stock. So I just typed in isolated hair, or whatever keywords you want to use. See, like this one's already cut out, so that might be a little too easy, so I'm not going to do that one. But you can come in here and just find different hairstyles that you can apply. But I decided to use an actual photo, so let's do a hair swap. Cool. So what I'm gonna do now is just try to make it easy on ourselves, and I'm gonna go into select and subject. This will use Adobe Sensei, which is Adobe's artificial intelligence, to make a selection out of the main subject. And I can click on the layer mask icon to mask that out. And then I can use the lasso tool, and I'm just gonna freehand a selection around his face like so. And fill with black. White reveals, black conceals on a layer mask. Notice that the focus, the white outline is on the layer mask. Notice now that my background color is black, so the keyboard shortcut to fill with the background color is Control Backspace on Windows, Command Delete on the Mac. Cool. I have a selection active. I can deactivate it by pressing Control D on Windows, Command Delete on the Mac. I'm sorry, Command D on the Mac. And then with the move tool, I can just move this around, and of course press Control T, Command T to transform and scale it. But what I'll do now is I'm actually going to convert this into a smart object for two reasons. Number one, now when I press Control T, Command T, I just have his hair isolated. And number two, any transformations that I make are non-destructive, and I can go back and make adjustments later if I want to. So I'll press Control T, Command T to transform, and I can also bring down the opacity while I'm in the transformation mode, and I can just place the hair as best as I can. Also notice that pivot point that I call it the pivot point, but the Photoshop calls it the reference point. It's a technical term. And what that point does is it allows you to rotate the layer from that point. So it's off by default. I'm not sure why. Before Photoshop, and somebody will correct me in the chat, I think Photoshop 2019 is when they disabled it by default. Before that, it was always on. So I like to enable it by clicking on this checkbox here, and then you can move it around by clicking on these different boxes. It's in the center by default, but a lot of times it's easier to just drag it to a new location, or hold Alt on Windows, Option on the Mac, and click somewhere to place it. So I'll just place it here by his ear, and that's gonna be where I'm gonna adjust the hair. So I can just rotate it, right click, and select warp, and I can warp this to try to match the model that I'm working with a bit better. So I'm trying to match the hairline, I'm trying to match the angle. There's a lot of matching that I need to do here for this to look somewhat realistic. I can also come in here and add a split. So I'll add a split right down the center so that I now can control this even further, like so. And we can always come back and edit this. So this is gonna be good for now. I'll click on the check mark to commit the changes, and I'll increase the opacity to 100% to see what we got. And it's not too bad, but it is decent enough for now. I did choose my own hair for this challenge. Sean, thank you for noticing. Actually, I hadn't noticed it. It's I guess we do have similar hairs. I'm guessing you mean this guy, right? That's what you're talking about, that guy. But anyway, yes, very good point, Mia. You have to choose a model with the same angle and perspective to make it look right. That's true for almost anything, if not everything, when it comes to compositing. Perspective is very important. Angles are very important. If you're working with like a box or something like that, then you can use a perspective warp tool, and you might be able to get away with different angles. But almost anything organic, you definitely have to find a nice angle. That's right for sure. Cool. So what I'm gonna do now is something I like to do with all my composites. Usually I just create a black and white adjustment layer on top of everything else, just to make sure that the luminance values match, because if I can make it look good in black and white, then it's a lot easier to make it look good when the color comes back. So what I can do is select this hair color, and then I'll just call it hair so I know what that is. And I'm going to select the levels adjustment layer. Click on this icon to clip it to the layer below so that that adjustment only affects the hair and not the model. So I'll quickly explain how this works. So we have these points here. This point basically tells Photoshop what range of pixels will be black. Notice how there's a gradient here in the bottom. This black point is saying that if a pixel that is this shade of gray or darker, it'll become black, or whatever the darkest color is in Photoshop, and it's set in the levels adjustment layer, I should say. And then same thing for the white point. If I click and drag this to the left, now we're telling Photoshop that anything that is this shade of gray or brighter will be white, or the brightest point. And the reason that I'm doing this quotations on as to black and white being the brightest and darkest points is because we can change that. So for example, this point is now telling Photoshop that the darkest possible pixel will be black. But if I drag this over to the right, now we're telling Photoshop that the darkest possible pixel will be this shade of gray, no longer black. And I can do the same thing for the white point here. I can drag this over to the left, and now we're telling Photoshop that the brightest point, and it's no longer white, is this shade of gray. So now you can see the total control that you can get over your image. This middle point controls the gamma, as you can see there. And now I can just start adjusting this accordingly so that I can have something that looks like it belongs. So I'm trying to make it seem as if this image looks like it belongs. And I know that the skin tones are a bit different, but notice that even by making that slight adjustment, it's already looking a little more realistic. And of course, you can spend all day here fine-tuning these adjustments until you get something that looks right to your eye. I'll disable the black and white adjustment layer, and maybe it's time to adjust the color a little bit. See how the skin tones are very, very different? We can probably adjust that by using, maybe we can try how about we try the color balance adjustment layer and see how that works out. I'll clip it to the layer below. But before I adjust it, let me look at the chat. I haven't seen the chat in a while, and I want to see what you guys are saying, if there's any questions. Jason wrote, I had hair once. That's the one thing I don't have to worry about. My grandfather passed away at 96, and his hair was identical to mine, but white. So I don't think I will lose my hair. Ariel wrote, what is the banana tool? Well, first rule of Banana Tool Club is you do not talk about Banana Rule Club. The second rule of Banana Tool Club is you do not talk about the Banana Tool Club. Or I think that's how somebody in the chat said it like a couple days ago. The banana tool, it doesn't do anything. It's just an Easter egg. So you can enable it by clicking on the 3-dot icon, going into Edit Toolbar, holding Shift and clicking on Done, and that will add a banana into your toolbar. And I always like to have a banana on my toolbar. Let me see if there's any other questions. Why did I not use the magic wand tool and make a selection and copy and paste? Very good question, and I'll show you why. So I'll double click on my smart object and I'll just duplicate this layer and I'll delete the layer mask, right? So then that's basically the photo. The magic wand tool is not that good for making selections. As you can see, I have to hold shift and keep adding to the selection. See that? And I still don't have everything selected. And sure, I can increase the tolerance and then maybe select more. And when I create a map, and I think your comment was copy and paste. So if I copy and paste it into a new layer, there it is. But see how choppy the edges are, and if I made a mistake, I can't come back and get the pieces that I'm missing. By using a mask like here, yeah, sure, the hair still looks choppy, but I can always come back and paint with white to reveal anything that I accidentally deleted, or I can go into the select and mask workspace and then use the refine edge tool and refine that a little bit and hopefully get a better result. So it gives me more flexibility. I'm not stuck with that copy and paste selection that I made. So very, very good question. So this is a non-destructive workflow. It means that you can always come back and change it. You're not stuck with the decisions that you make. Let me see if there's any other questions. Cool. Let me see if there's any other questions. There's a lot of comments in the chat. Cool. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is work a little bit with the color. So I have the color balance selected. So I can start with the midtones and then maybe add a little bit more magenta, just the reds. I'm never going to get a perfect match, but I'm trying to do as best as I can. I think that if you notice, this background image has a little bit of magenta tint. So I'm trying to add just a tiny little bit, but not too much. And maybe I can adjust the highlights as well and try to match the skin tones. Again, I'm never going to get it perfect, but I want to get it close enough so that when I come in here on this layer, on this smart object, I can now come in and paint with black, with a soft brush, hardness set to 0, and try to make that look good, like so. And obviously the more time that you spend, the better it is. And I can maybe even merge it with his original hair so that it looks somewhat more realistic. Looks like I have about 3 to 4 minutes. I'm gonna try to hurry up and get it done. Like so. And another thing that you can do is, if you want to, you can come in here and make a selection around basically the hairline, like so, and just duplicate that. Control J, command, or actually, you know what? I'll just copy. Let me disable this mask right here. So you can hold Shift and disable the mask, and then just actually, I'll add this part to it as well. And what you can do now is just with that layer selected, copy, Control C, Command C, and I'll paste that on top right there. I'll disable this. And what I want to do here is I'm just going to use blend diff to hide all the bright pixels and just keep the darker ones. So maybe I can get some of those strands of hair back, something like that. And it's not working out the way I was hoping it would, but maybe if I go into image adjustment levels, might be able to add a little more. Nope, I wasn't able to. So don't do that, because I was just trying to see if I could get those little strands of hair, but I guess that I'm not going to be able to. But anyway, so this is his new haircut. You can of course keep adding more adjustment to it if you like. Also, you can move this layer down. I think it might be a little too high, so maybe move it down. And if you notice, there's a bright highlight here on the right, so you can now start adjusting those details. So I can go into the curves adjustment layer, clip it to the layer below, click and drag up like so, but then make the layer mask black by clicking on the invert button, and paint with white on this side just to kind of brighten that up a little bit, so to kind of mimic the highlight that's there on the side of his head. So you can spend time making those adjustments. And as you guys know, one of the things that I like doing after I'm done with all my composites, I'm going to hold shift, click on the bottom layer, and put everything into a smart object, and go into filter, camera raw filter, and then adjust the whole thing as a single image. Maybe I can warm it up a bit and, you know, add a little bit of contrast, a little bit of texture, whatever it is. And I'll scroll down to the effects, reduce the vignette to add a little bit of vignette, add a little bit of a grain, and there he is with his new hairstyle. So that is today's daily creative challenge. I look forward to seeing the hair swaps or changes of hairstyle that you guys do on your images. Let me see if there's any questions before we move on. You know what, Sean? Don't zoom into the hair, please. I didn't realize that until I zoomed into the hair. So sorry about that. But yes, that's the extra challenge for you there. You have to use the spot healing brush tool. Spot healing brush tool for that. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, you could also use the refine edge brush tool. That's right. Yep, thank you so much. There's no questions, just a bunch of funny comments. Thank you so much. All right, well, thank you so much for being with me today. Let me put up the schedule, but I already know that Sean is right up after me. Whoops, that's the wrong button. So we started the day at 7:30 a.m. with Spencer creating a still life painting, then me doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I'm coming right back to host Sean for a photo compositing stream in Photoshop, of course. Then at 11:30, the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Paul Tranny. We have Michael doing packaging design at noon Pacific. XD Daily Creative Challenge with Andrea Epi at 2 p.m. Pacific. Draw Along with Kyle T. Webster at 2:30 p.m. And we're going to end the day at 3 p.m. Pacific doing a sign off with Voodoo Val and Alana McCarthy. So fun-filled day. Go get a water break. Go get a bathroom break. I'm going to be right back to host Sean in just a few minutes. Make sure that you submit your work into Discord. I would love to see all the different hair swaps and different hairdos that you apply to yourselves or to your friends. All right, well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be right back in just a few minutes. See you guys. Bye.